Elias drifted through his days, trapped in a thick, suffocating haze of deep existential dread. He remained convinced that he was fundamentally lost within a world offering no clear path. Hours bled into one another as he sat contemplating his future with a heavy heart. He devoured countless self-help books, searching for a sudden epiphany that refused to ever arrive. Despite his desperate waiting, he remained entirely stagnant, anchored by the weight of his thoughts. He believed his lack of direction was a profound psychological mystery, a dark, internal void. This void, he reasoned, could only be filled by discovering his true, hidden life purpose. Yet, this constant, circular introspection served merely as a fragile mask for his avoidance. He retreated into his own mind to escape the harsh, unforgiving demands of external reality. Deep down, Elias feared the sharp discomfort of effort and the heavy burden of responsibility. He preferred the comfortable safety of his own confusion to the demands of structured life. His apartment was a silent testament to his paralysis, filled with stacks of unread wisdom. Dust motes danced in the stagnant air while he stared blankly at the peeling wallpaper. He was trapped in a dangerous illusion, believing he must think his way into existence. He failed to realize that his paralysis was not a lack of some hidden meaning. Instead, his stagnation was a total, absolute absence of any form of personal, daily discipline. The clock on the wall ticked rhythmically, mocking his inability to take even one step. He traced the patterns on his desk, seeking answers in the grain of the wood. Every morning began with the same heavy feeling of being adrift in an endless ocean. He convinced himself that tomorrow would be different if he just read one more chapter. The books promised transformation, but they only provided a temporary distraction from his own inertia. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life, watching the world move without him. The sun rose and set, marking time that he wasted in a state of contemplation. He avoided the mirror, fearing the reflection of a man who had surrendered his agency. His mind was a labyrinth of excuses, carefully constructed to protect his fragile, idle ego. He nurtured his dread as if he were a precious, rare, and delicate garden plant. If he admitted he was lazy, the entire structure of his self-delusion would surely collapse. So he continued to read, continued to wait, and continued to drift further away daily. The silence of the room was heavy, pressing against his chest like a physical weight. He closed his eyes, hoping for a dream that would finally reveal his true path. The shadows lengthened across the floor, mirroring the growing darkness of his own internal state. He felt the crushing weight of potential wasted on the altar of his own procrastination. Every book he touched felt like a cold, dead object, devoid of any real power. He longed for a spark of inspiration to ignite the stagnant fuel of his ambition, but inspiration remained a distant, flickering light that he could never quite manage to reach. He blamed the world for his failures, citing a lack of opportunity or clear guidance. Yet, the truth gnawed at him, whispering that the fault lay entirely within his hands. He was the architect of his own prison, building walls out of his endless hesitation. The air in the room grew stale, mirroring the lack of movement in his life. He stood up slowly, his limbs feeling heavy with the lethargy of his long inaction. He walked to the window, looking out at the city pulsing with vibrant, chaotic energy. People below moved with purpose, their lives defined by the rhythm of their daily work. He felt a pang of envy, watching them navigate the world with such clear intent. He wanted that clarity, yet he refused to pay the price of admission required daily. The price was simple: sacrifice, effort, and the willingness to endure the grind of routine. He turned away from the window, unable to bear the sight of their effortless movement. His desk remained a cluttered mess of unfinished tasks and abandoned, half-formed, ambitious ideas. He sat back down, the chair creaking under the weight of his heavy, weary body. He picked up a pen, but his hand remained frozen above the blank, white paper. The ink was dry, much like the well of his own creativity and deep drive. He sighed, the sound echoing in the empty room like a final, desperate, lonely plea. He knew he had to change, yet the path forward remained obscured by his fear. The fear of failing was eclipsed only by the fear of never truly beginning anything. He stared at the clock again, watching the second hand sweep past the 12 mark. Another minute gone, another moment lost to the endless cycle of his own internal debate. He needed a jolt, a sudden break in the pattern that kept him firmly anchored. But the jolt would not come from the books, nor from the silence of rooms. It would only come from the cold, hard reality of choosing to act right now. He looked at his hands, realizing they were the only tools he truly possessed today. The time for thinking had ended, and the time for the first movement had begun. Elias finally confronts the brutal truth that he is not lost, but simply entirely undisciplined. He decides to abandon his endless cycle of overthinking and replaces it with rigid structure. The transition begins as he starts waking up before the first light of dawn arrives. He dedicates his quiet mornings to meaningful work, pushing past the old comfort of hesitation. Each day, he commits to training his body, feeling the physical strain replace mental doubt. Every night, he sits in silence to reflect on his progress and the day's labor. As he commits to this cycle of repetition, the heavy fog in his mind lifts. The confusion that once plagued his thoughts is slowly replaced by the clarity of action. He discovers that purpose is not a hidden treasure waiting to be found by chance. Instead, purpose is a structure to be built through the weight of daily, deliberate sacrifice. By aligning his habits with his goals, he finds the strength to move forward daily. Elias realizes he was not searching for a new identity, but forging it through discipline. He embraces the relentless application of his own will, shaping his life with steady hands. The avoidance of reality fades away, replaced by the sharp, clear demands of his work. He no longer waits for an epiphany, for he has become the architect of change. Each task he completes serves as a brick in the foundation of his new life. The fear of responsibility vanishes, replaced by the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. He understands now that his paralysis was merely a choice he had made for years. Discipline becomes the bridge between his stagnant past and the vibrant life he now leads. He moves with intention, no longer drifting through the haze of his own making anymore. The world outside his window seems brighter, reflecting the order he has established within himself. He finds that the discomfort of effort is actually the fuel for his personal growth. Each morning the sun rises to find him already engaged in the work he chose. His books on philosophy gather dust, replaced by the tangible results of his daily labor. He no longer needs to think his way into existence, for he is living it. The void he once felt is filled by the steady rhythm of his new routine. He is no longer a victim of his thoughts, but a master of his actions. The structure he built provides the safety he once sought in his own deep confusion. He reflects on the man he used to be, feeling a sense of distant pity. That version of himself was a ghost, haunting the halls of his own wasted potential. Now he stands firmly in the present, grounded by the weight of his own choices. The path ahead is clear, carved out by the persistence of his own daily efforts. He finds joy in the struggle, realizing that the process is the ultimate reward here. Every challenge is met with a calm resolve, born from the habit of constant discipline. He has successfully dismantled the illusion that kept him trapped in his own stagnant mind. The architecture of his purpose stands tall, a testament to the power of human will. He breathes deeply, savoring the crisp air of a life defined by his own design. There is no more searching, only the steady, rhythmic beat of a life in motion. He has finally become the person he was always meant to be all along now. The cycle of repetition has transformed his character, turning doubt into a firm iron resolve.